There is a very strong reason why you felt the need to hear this right now. It is no coincidence that your intuition has guided you to this moment, because deep within you, you already know the truth. You know exactly that something unusual happened yesterday. There was a movement in the air, a sudden heaviness, or perhaps a sting of fear that did not match what you were doing at that moment. Maybe you were in the middle of your daily activities, laughing with someone, or simply trying to rest, when suddenly a feeling of emptiness hit your chest without warning. I want you to know that you are not imagining things. This sudden anxiety does not belong to you. Rather, it is the echo of an emotional crisis that someone else is experiencing from afar. This person is doing very badly because of you, and when I say they are doing badly, I do not simply mean that they miss you with nostalgia. I mean that their emotional structure has been shaken to its foundations. Yesterday, this person felt you more intensely than ever before since the separation or distancing. It is of crucial importance that you understand that the bonds connecting two beings know neither kilometers nor blockings on social networks. Human connection, especially that which deeply penetrates the spirit, functions like a system of communicating vessels. When one side overflows, the other feels the pressure. What you experienced yesterday, that restlessness that made you look at your phone, expecting a message that never came, or that abrupt awakening at dawn with their name on the tip of your tongue, was the confirmation that their defense mechanisms have fallen. This person has spent a lot of time building a wall of indifference, convincing themselves that they could move on without your presence, that forgetting was a viable option. But yesterday, that wall collapsed. The accumulated energy, everything they have not told you, everything they have tried to suppress, exploded in their inner reality, and the shock wave was so strong that you could perceive it physically. Understanding this is fundamental for your own peace of mind, because it is very likely that your logical mind tried to find rational explanations for your discomfort. Perhaps you thought it was stress, fatigue, or simply your own obsession playing tricks on you. But your soul knows how to recognize the difference between your own sadness and the sadness that comes from outside. What you felt yesterday was a silent cry for help. This person, in their solitude, confronted the harsh reality of your absence, and the weight was unbearable. They realized that no distraction works, that the noise of the world cannot silence the voice of your memory. They are going through a moment of darkness, a dark night of the soul, in which the only light they recognize is the one you have given to their existence. And although their pride or their fears prevent them from running to you at this precise moment, their energy has already done so. Their energetic being searched for you desperately yesterday, and that is why you felt that strange way, as if someone was watching you or calling out loudly in an empty room. But to understand why this emotional breakdown happened to them yesterday and not last week or last month, you must first understand the urgent message that their soul was silently crying out to you and that you received without words. There is a hidden mechanism behind this event, an invisible gear that moved and explains why the situation on the invisible plane suddenly changed drastically. Have you wondered why your mind suddenly cannot stop conjuring their image with such intensity, almost as if this person was standing behind you? The answer lies in what happened last night in their room, and in the energetic dynamic that was released in the last 24 hours. If you are ready to integrate this lesson into your life, write in the comments, "I received the message." Yesterday was not an ordinary day in the calendar of their emotional life. Energetically, there was a peak, a saturation. Imagine that this person has filled a glass with every memory of you they try to suppress, with every impulse to call you that they stop, with every tear they swallow to maintain the appearance of strength. Yesterday, that glass overflowed. What happened is that the resistance this person was putting up against the connection broke through pure exhaustion. Maintaining an emotional lie requires an immense amount of energy. Pretending that someone who the soul recognizes as vital does not matter to you is the most exhausting work that exists. And yesterday, this person simply could no longer handle the weight of the mask. It is very likely that yesterday you had a moment of change. Perhaps for an instant you decided to let go of control. Perhaps you were so busy with your own affairs that for a few hours you stopped sending that energy of waiting and anxiety in that direction. In the world of energy, when you stop pushing or waiting with desperation, you create a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. When you withdrew your constant attention, even if only for a moment, this person felt the abyss of your real absence. While you are there, present and sending energy of attachment, this person feels safe. They feel that they have you there in their energetic pocket, and that allows them to stay in their comfort zone and play indifference. But yesterday, something changed in you, and that provoked terror in their subconscious. They felt that they were truly losing you. It was not a rational thought. It was a visceral feeling. It was as if suddenly the air around them became denser. This person could have been surrounded by people, at a gathering with friends, or even trying to meet someone new, and out of nowhere, emotional nausea overcame them. Everything lost its taste. The conversations of others seemed empty to them. The sounds annoyed them. Their traitorous mind began bombarding them with comparisons. Everything they saw reminded them of you, but not out of sweet nostalgia, rather out of painful lack. Nobody looks at me that way. Nobody understands me that way. Nobody has that laugh. Yesterday, the comparison was brutal, and they lost the battle against your memory. This energetic peak manifests as an anxiety that has no obvious cause in their daily life. It may be that everything is going well at their work, that their health is good, that apparently everything is in order. Nevertheless, yesterday they felt that something terrible was happening, that something was the certainty that time is running out and that pride is too high a price for the loneliness they feel. This person found themselves looking at their phone, perhaps writing a message that they then deleted, or visiting your profile to see if there was any sign of life, a sign that you are still there too. But they did it from pain, from urgency. Yesterday they felt you like never before, because their barriers fell. When the ego gets tired of fighting, the soul takes command, and this person's soul only wants one thing: to return home. And you are that energetic home. The intensity of what they felt yesterday was so great that it caused them a state of severe mental confusion. They questioned all their recent decisions. They wondered why they distanced themselves, why they allowed things to reach this point of coldness. Guilt and remorse are very dense, very heavy vibrations, and that is what is consuming them right now. That is why we say that they are doing very badly. It is not an empty phrase to comfort you. It is a description of their current vibrational state. They find themselves in a whirlwind of contradictory emotions. They desire you, but they are afraid. They miss you, but they do not know if you will receive them. They want to talk to you, but the fear of rejection paralyzes them. And all this inner storm generates a massive amount of psychic energy directed at you. You are the receiver of this high-power radio transmission. That is why you felt the way you did yesterday, because you received the direct impact of their breakdown. This person tried by all means to block you from their mind. Perhaps they tried to sleep early to avoid thinking, or tried to immerse themselves in some distracting activity. But energy is like water. It always finds a crack through which to filter. And yesterday, the flood was total. They realized that they carry you under their skin. that your trace in their life is indelible. This realization is frightening for someone who flees from their feelings, and that fear turned into the anxiety you perceived. It is the fear of someone who realizes they have made a mistake and does not know how to repair it. But that anxiety did not come alone. There was a physical, almost painful sign that confirmed to them that they could no longer flee from this feeling. It was not just something mental, their body reacted. There is a biology of missing someone that was activated yesterday with unusual force, and that prevents this person from functioning normally in their daily life. If you could see through walls and observe their behavior in solitude, you would see the irrefutable proof that your energy has taken total control over their will. The fascinating thing about this connection is that it does not remain only at the level of ideas or abstract feelings. If we could observe the physical reality of this person at this precise moment, we would notice that their body is reacting in ways that escape their logical control. The human body is the most sensitive receiver that exists, and when the soul screams, biology responds. What this person experienced yesterday and continues to experience today is an intense somatization of your absence. It is not simply that they think of you, but that their organism manifests clear symptoms of energetic withdrawal. The resistance they try to maintain mentally is breaking down on the physical level, and this causes them deep confusion and frustration because they do not understand why they feel what they feel when theoretically they are trying to move on with their life. One of the most obvious symptoms that this person is suffering right now is a very specific pressure in the middle of their chest. It is not a medical pain, but a feeling of tightness, as if an invisible fist were squeezing their heart, or as if they were lacking air even though they are breathing well. This feeling of a knot is the physical manifestation of all the words they have swallowed and all the love they have suppressed. Yesterday, this pressure became almost unbearable. It is likely that at some point during the day they had to stop, take a deep breath, or unconsciously put their hand on their chest to relieve a weight that is not physical but emotional. It is the weight of knowing deep in their cells that they are far from their place of belonging. In addition to this tightness, there is a phenomenon that will surely be familiar to you because you may have experienced it too. The insomnia of dawn and waking at mirror hours. This person is not sleeping well. They may manage to fall asleep from exhaustion, but their sleep is shallow and full of interruptions. Yesterday, it is very likely that they woke up abruptly between 3 and 4 in the morning with an inexplicable feeling of alertness, as if someone had called their name or turned on a light in the room. In that silence of the night, when the defense mechanisms of the ego are low, their mind runs directly to you. They cannot avoid it. They turn in bed seeking a comfortable position. But the pillow seems full of thoughts about what was and what could be. This abrupt awakening is their body's response to the vibration you are emitting, or paradoxically, to the vacuum you left when you withdrew your energy. Another physical symptom that reveals their current state is an unusual fatigue, an exhaustion that does not disappear no matter how much they sleep or rest. This person feels heavy, as if walking or completing daily tasks requires double the normal effort. This exhaustion is due to the energy drain caused by the internal struggle. Imagine the amount of vital resources that are consumed when trying to lie to yourself all day, pretending that an essential person no longer matters. This fight between the mind that says no and the heart that says yes exhausts the reserves of vitality. That is why this person felt and feels today drained, without motivation, moving in automatic mode. The people around them may notice that their gaze is extinguished, or that they lack their usual sparkle, that spark of enthusiasm, because their energy source, which was potentiated with your presence, now feels distant. It is also very common that in this state, changes in appetite occur. The stomach, which is considered the second emotional brain, closes in the face of the anxiety of separation. This person may feel a knot in their stomach that prevents them from eating normally, or, on the contrary, they may have anxiety attacks that they try to calm by eating foods without really tasting them. Yesterday, food had no flavor for this person. Everything seemed bland to them because the sweetness of life in their unconscious perception is connected to you. When the spirit is not nourished by the love and connection it craves, the body loses interest in physical nourishment. It is a primitive form of grief that their organism is processing without their conscious mind fully admitting it. Even this person's senses are searching for you and creating illusions. It is possible that yesterday they thought they saw your silhouette among the people on the street, or that they heard a voice identical to yours in the middle of the crowd. The sense of smell, which is most strongly linked to emotional memory, constantly plays tricks on them. Suddenly a breeze of a fragrance reaches them that reminds them of you, of your perfume, or simply of your essence. In places where it is impossible for you to be, their brain is so desperate to find patterns that confirm your proximity that it begins to project you into their physical reality. Yesterday, this person abruptly turned their head, thinking that you were there. And when they realized you were not, the feeling of emptiness multiplied. Their body searches for you, like water searches for the riverbed. And this biological and instinctive search is the irrefutable proof that, although their lips are silent, their cells are screaming for you. The fascinating thing is that this is not magic. It is a law of the mind and nature that a great visionary discovered decades ago, and that perfectly explains your situation. Understanding why their body reacts this way to your invisible energy will give you the peace of mind to no longer doubt your intuition, to deeply understand why this person broke down yesterday without having you in front of them, and why you could feel it with such clarity. We must turn to the wisdom of one of the greatest explorers of the human mind, Carl Jung. Although he lived many years ago, this thinker understood something that modern spirituality confirms every day: that fundamentally we are not separate. Jung taught us that our minds are not isolated islands in the middle of an empty ocean, but that they are part of an immense network, a great ocean of shared consciousness, where everything is connected beneath the surface. He called this the collective unconscious, but to better visualize it today, we can imagine it as a gigantic, invisible network, similar to a Wi-Fi network that covers the entire universe and to which we are all permanently connected. Imagine that you and this person are two trees planted kilometers apart. On the surface, it seems that they have nothing to do with each other. Each has its trunk, its branches, and its space. However, underground, their roots extend, touch, and intertwine in the depths. Through these hidden roots, nutrients, information, and warning signals are transmitted. When one of the trees suffers an impact or an abrupt change, the other receives the signal through this system of shared roots. Carl Jung explained that this underground connection is the reason why we can feel someone without seeing them, and why significant events occur simultaneously. Within this vision exists a wonderful concept that Jung called synchronicity. Synchronicities are not mere coincidences or empty happenstances. They are moments when the outer world reflects what is happening in the inner world. When you felt that anxiety out of nowhere yesterday, or when this person heard a song that reminded them of you exactly at the moment they were trying to forget you, it was not chance. It was a synchronicity. It is the universe orchestrating reality to show that the connection is still alive. Synchronicity is the language that this great shared mind uses to tell both of you that the chapter is not closed. It is as if the universe were conspiring so that this person, no matter how much they run, always encounters signs that lead them back to you. Now, why did this person feel you yesterday with this volcanic intensity? According to this Jungian vision, thoughts and emotions are real energy, as real as the electricity that lights a lamp. When you think of someone with great force or release, someone with great determination, you send a wave through this invisible network. Yesterday, something happened in your own energy. Perhaps you stopped resisting, perhaps your own vibration changed, or simply the accumulation of energy in that shared unconscious reached a saturation point. This person, connected to you through this invisible and indestructible thread, received the discharge. They had no choice. Their soul captured the signal before their logical mind could erect a barrier. Jung would say that what this person is going through, this crisis, this doing very badly, is absolutely necessary for their process of individuation, that is, for their growth and maturity. Often people flee from deep connections because these act as mirrors. You are the mirror in which this person sees their own shadows, their fears of surrender, their insecurities, and also their immense capacity to love that they try to deny. By distancing themselves from you, they are actually trying to flee from themselves, from that part of their soul that awakened with you. But as this wisdom teaches us, what you deny subjugates you, and what you accept transforms you. Yesterday, the denial no longer worked. The psychic energy they were suppressing overflowed and forced them to look in the mirror, forced them to feel you. Through this invisible network, yesterday, you sent them a shockwave, perhaps without realizing it, that forced them to reconsider their reality. You do not need to send text messages, call, or make yourself physically present to touch this person. In fact, at this level of the collective unconscious, physical presence is secondary. The real connection happens in silence. When you are at peace or when you are in a state of certainty, that vibration travels through the invisible thread and arrives at the other end. Yesterday, this person felt the tug on the rope. They felt that despite the distance, you were more present than ever inside them. This perspective helps us understand that there are no victims or perpetrators, but two souls dancing in a network of deep meanings. The suffering that this person feels now, that discomfort of doing very badly, is actually a symptom of awakening. Their unconscious is bombarding them with images of you, with dreams, and with physical sensations to break the hard shell of their ego. The ego wants protection and separation, but the collective unconscious, that great wisdom that unites us, wants union and truth. Therefore, the more this person tries to resist the connection, the stronger the signal they receive from the universe becomes. It is a law of compensation. If they consciously try to erase you, they will unconsciously dream of you twice as much. The most powerful thing about understanding this is that it gives you back your power. You are no longer at the mercy of whether they write to you or not to know if a connection exists. You know that the connection exists because you feel the thread, and you know that this person feels it too, although they try to disguise it. Yesterday was the proof. Yesterday, the network vibrated with force, and that vibration does not disappear. It remains resonating in this person's energy field, working silently, eroding their defense mechanisms and preparing the ground for what must inevitably happen. The surrender before the evidence of what they feel. And it is precisely through this invisible network that yesterday you sent them a silent message that hit them harder than any text you could write. A message that is now germinating in their mind and that will very soon bear fruit. It is natural that upon understanding the magnitude of what this person feels and the intensity of the emotional breakdown they experienced yesterday, a logical and painful question arises in your mind. If it is true that their soul screams for the return, if it is true that anxiety consumes them and their body manifests withdrawal symptoms, why then is their phone silent? Why is there no call, no message, or a visible sign that confirms in the tangible world what your intuition already knows in the energetic world? This is the great paradox of silence, and it is the point where most people lose faith in their own perception. But it is crucial to understand that external silence does not equal internal forgetting. In fact, in this specific case, silence is the exact measure of their conflict. You must understand that there is an abysmal difference between what a human being feels and what a human being does. Between emotion and action exists a wild guardian called the ego. And at this moment, this person's ego is working overtime. They are doing very badly precisely because they are fighting a fierce battle inside. On one side stands the truth of their heart, which was activated with force yesterday and cries out to them to seek you, to repair the damage, to return to the place where they were happy. But on the other side stands fear. The fear of rejection, the fear of losing freedom, the fear of admitting that they were wrong, or simply the fear of the vulnerability that it means to tell you, I miss you. This person finds themselves right now in a state of paralysis by analysis. Yesterday, the wave of feelings was so great that their defense system was maximally activated. Imagine someone getting too close to fire. Their immediate instinct is to step back to avoid getting burned. The intensity of what they feel for you is that fire. When yesterday they felt they were burning with love and need, their automatic reaction was not to run to the fire, but to take a step back to protect themselves. The silence you witness is not indifference. It is a protection mechanism. They are protecting themselves from the immense influence you have on their emotional stability. They know that if they hear your voice again or read your words, every wall they have left will definitively collapse, and that loss of control frightens them. Furthermore, pride plays a fundamental role in this scenario. It is very possible that this person has said or done things to mark distance, to establish an attitude of firmness or detachment before the world and before you.
To end the silence would mean confronting themselves. It would require undoing the story they have repeated in their own mind and admitting that distance did not bring freedom. For the heart, returning is not weakness, it is resolution. But for the ego, reaching out feels like exposure. They know that the moment they initiate contact, the carefully held structure collapses. Everything they have been suppressing, desire, regret, and truths left unspoken. What they are avoiding is not you, it is the impact you have on their inner world. The quiet is not confidence, it is containment. An attempt to stay composed while everything inside moves in the opposite direction. Their thoughts wander back, their rest is disrupted. Their body reacts in ways the mind refuses to acknowledge. The distance they maintain externally does not match the intensity of what they are experiencing within. This state cannot be sustained indefinitely. No one can silence an inner truth forever. Beneath the surface, momentum continues to build. Resistance softens. Meaningful coincidences multiply. Eventually, the voice of the heart outweighs fear. When that threshold is crossed, silence and pride lose their power. And when the masks finally fall, what remains is simple and undeniable. The pull toward you is not chaos, it is the place where their unrest finds calm.